Lawrence Shafter here from Boating New Zealand. I'm on board the 43-metre sloop Guillemot. She's in New Zealand for our summer, spend the season chartering here, and I took the opportunity to chat to her skipper, Mark Welch. Can you just clarify, how does one pronounce the name of the vessel? There are a number of options as I understand it.
Well, it depends where you're from. If you're from France or Spain, it'll be Guillemot. If you're from Central Europe or from the English-speaking nations, it's more like Guillemot because you pronounce every single syllable.
You've been skipper for how long?
I've been on this boat since September 21.
21, yeah. She has been in New Zealand before under a different name.
Yes.
But it's an unusual destination for her?
Not particularly. Most vessels that are coming through the South Pacific tend to use New Zealand as a stopping off point after they've done their winter time in the French Polynesia and Fiji. So it's always a convenient time for crews to get a bit of downtime and also for the boats to get a bit of a rest and recuperation, a yard period, before they decide to go off on their next journey, be it back to the Caribbean or to continue going around the world westward. So it's it's not an unusual situation for vessels to come into New Zealand. Of course, the past couple of years there hasn't been that many vessels coming down here because of COVID. Yeah. So actually, it's been quite good because there's been a great deal of enthusiasm in welcoming yachts back to New Zealand. Obviously, since the America's Cup, it's been fairly quiet, and before the America's Cup as well. So it's meant that it's been quite a good deal of enthusiasm for the vessels that have come back here because the contractors are very happy to get stuck in again.
Speaking of that, you're at the Orams yard. You're having a little bit of work done to the vessel?
Well, continuing ongoing maintenance, I think is the best way of putting it.
Never ends.
Never ending, yes. No. Never ending maintenance. Annual MOT and stuff like that, sort of
the sails, are they new sails or...?
No, the sails are from 2019 when the boat was first purchased. There was a brand new set of sails then. We've had them taken off. They were made by Norths in Europe. We had the sails taken off here and they've gone to the Norths yard just up in North Shore over here, and they've done a fantastic job in rebuilding them and making them look like new.
Normally, part of the deal is you would use the opportunity to come and have some maintenance done on various things.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because it's an ideal place to come down to New Zealand. It's a New Zealand summer, although it doesn't quite look like it at the moment. But anyway, we'll see once it does become summer. I'll let you know. Yeah. It's a convenient time. You've got long days. You can get a lot of work done. The yard's perfectly located in the middle of Auckland. It's a great place for us to get work done. You've got the contracts available. This area around here, I've been here 20 years ago. It's changed so much. This area, which was basically a small rundown part of Auckland, now has been transformed into a rather nice and gentrified part of the city. Yes. So it has changed quite a lot. But it's good. They've still got yards here, and they've still got the marine businesses operating in this area.
So there's a whole atmosphere that's... Can you sketch the itinerary, if that's the right word? You're on a circumnavigation, as I understand it.
That's correct.
Where have you started and where are you going?
Well, I suppose it actually started in France last year when the boat went back there for the end of a yard period because the boat had a refit in Brittany, in JFA, in Concarneau. And then from November 21, we left from Concarneau and went over to the Caribbean, to Antigua via Madeira. And that's probably, we can say, was the start of the boat's
so you're doing the traditional route, sort of from east, west.
Well, yeah, traditional. The fact wasn't that traditional. To start in northern France is a bit unusual, and it's a bit of a baptism of fire going through the Bay of Biscay in November. So that was a bit of a auspicious start. But no, it was good. I mean, we had a very good trip across to Antigua. We had a charter over the Christmas and New Year period.
So what I'm getting at is the itinerary, such as it is, does that get dictated by the guests that come along that want to go to specific destinations, or does it you just follow?
It's kind of dictated by weather systems and what time of the year is an ideal place to be in certain areas.
Yeah.
For example, you don't want to be up in the tropics during the cyclone season, which is from now until the end of April, for example. So that's another good reason for boats to come down to New Zealand at this particular time of the year. It's a very popular time of the year to come down here. You're out of the cyclone region. I mean, so a lot of that is dictated by insurance companies as well. The insurance companies will say to you, yes, of course you can go wherever you like, but if there's a named cyclone turns up, then you have a bit of a problem with your insurance. So you have to make sure you're out of those particular areas.
Yeah, but you are generally following an east to west sort of path around the world?
Yes.
Is it an issue when you get to all of these destinations in terms of finding a mooring or a berth or something like that? And you can anchor, obviously, but if you want people that, if your guests want to be easy access to shore,
there's a lot of pre-planning involved. You have to think 4 or 5 steps ahead to contact agents to make sure there's berths available. And it's easy to go and say, oh, you just turn up and rock up and get a berth. For boats of a small size, it's not a problem, but for boats of, this boat is 43 metres, and to find berthing for 43-metre yachts can be somewhat restrictive, and also we're also restricted by our draft, our air draft.
Would she draw about 4.5 metres?
4.3 metres, and then we've got a 50-metre air draft as well with the mast.
I'm interested in the kind of people or the kind of charter party. Are these people that enjoy getting involved in sailing the vessel to any degree, or do they just want to relax and not get involved at all?
It depends. You get different people have different concepts of coming to the boat. Some people want to come on and have an all-action holiday. They want to go diving. They want to go hiking ashore. They want to use the sea bobs. Others just want to relax and just take it easy and just have drinks in the cockpit.
Do people want to get onto the helm, for example?
Oh, I offer them a chance to come onto the helm, and some of them are happy to go and do it.
Yeah.
Some are a bit more hesitant.
Yeah.
The kids tend to think they can go and do it, which is fine because I just turn the helm off. So I'm actually in control of one side, and they think they're in control of the other, just in case they get a little bit over exuberant. Can
you talk a little bit about the sizes? I mean, obviously she's one of the biggest sloops that's been in these waters, but things like the mainsail, for example, I mean, that, obviously it's all hydraulically controlled, but it's a heavy sail in its own right. The square footage of the spinnaker, you have a code 0 or a Jenica, or
no? We just have a Yankee and a staysail.
Yeah.
And the main. We do have 2 MPSs, but they're back in storage.
Yeah.
We find that to take.
You mean you don't tend to fly them very much?
Well, it's a lot of space. Takes up a lot of space in the boat.
Yeah.
Where most people would prefer to have extra storage for other items like a spare tender or a couple of kayaks, for example. So it's an unusual occurrence when you actually have the opportunity to go and put up an MPS. And to be honest, most people on these vessels, they like to do a little bit of sailing, but they don't want it to impinge on their drinking and eating.
So you want to keep your gin and tonic on an even keel, if
absolutely,
possible.
Yes. You don't want to heel it over too much. Makes it a bit uncomfortable.
To what degree is it automated? To what degree do you need your entire crew humming together to get it functioning?
You have to be aware that there's many things that could go wrong when you're doing that. You have to have time. You have to be calm. You have to notice if something's not right. And because we've just done some changes on the sails now, we're aware that when we put the sail up for the first time, it's going to be a very, very slow hoist. And also because we're hydraulic, you don't know how much pressure is in the hydraulic. The hydraulic can carry on going even if you've got a problem, and you can, it'll just keep going and going until something breaks.
You what, a crew complement of 7, including yourself?
7, yeah.
Yeah, and they obviously are able to control and manage this, given the degree of automation that you have on the vessel.
Yes, we got people to cover various stations on the vessel. So everybody's got that. I mean, quite often, we do need a lot of crew. For example, for not really hoisting the main, but for putting the tender on and off the vessel, is we need maybe 4 or 5 crew to go and do that properly.
Yes,
to do it safely anyway, yes, to
yeah.
do it safely.
Yeah. The boat has been through, as I understand it, a refit or more than one refit, a couple of refits, which seems extraordinary. She was built in 2004, and when they had a refit in 2014, I think it was. What did they do in a refit scenario like that?
Well, it depends. See, from 2004 to 2014 is 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years because the boat is classed under ABS. Then they have to come and check the boat to make sure that none of its characteristics when it was built have been changed. So in other words, we haven't put a jacuzzi on, for example, which affects its stability, or we've changed anything inside the boat. It does happen because you get change of crew on these vessels, and somebody comes in and says, "Oh, we changed that. We'll put that in the engine room, or we'll change that." Sometimes structural changes are made without people even realising they are structural. Yeah. So of course, then you get another surveyor coming along.
Is this done annually? Did you say?
It's done 5, 10, 15, and 20 years. Yeah. Those are the major ones. Yeah. But then we have annual reviews, should we call it, assessments, where they just come along and make sure that generally the boat is as it should be.
And who did you say they is? ABS?
ABS.
Which is?
American Bureau of Shipping.
Is that the sort of the main protocol that governs vessels of this size?
Yes, there's several actually. There's Bureau Veritas for the French, and there's Lloyd's for the British.
I want to switch tack slightly, given the fact that you said you might motor or just use your head sails coming across the Atlantic, but what does she actually sail like when you do have the sail up?
Oh, good. Yeah, we sailed from Panama to Nukuhiva to the Marquesas.
Yeah, 3,000 miles or so.
Almost, 3,800.
Yeah.
Well, probably 4,000 the way we did it. And we have a limited fuel range, so we had to sail, which was fine. We just used our weather routers to advise us of the best possible route to get the best possible breeze. So we sailed for 4 days on the first leg, and then from Nukuhiva we sailed directly from Nukuhiva down to Tahiti. I think there's another 3-4 days completely sailing.
And she cruises 10, 11 knots?
If we're motoring, it's 8 or 9 knots. If we're sailing, it's 9 to 10. If we're doing less than 8 knots sailing, we tend to think about putting the engine on.
What is a typical day for you and the crew, on the assumption you've got guests on board? Does it start at 5 o'clock in the morning and end at 11 at night?
It can do. It depends on the guests. I think generally on boats like this, on sailing yachts, guests want to go sailing. So they tend to work their day around the possibility of sailing. So what we try and do is we try and have a breakfast at a nice anchorage. And we just kind of look at the weather forecast, see what's going on that day, to find out wind direction, wind strength, which is the best place to go. So
you're pretty flexible in terms of shaping the day to
we have
the
a
needs.
broad itinerary which we present to the guests and say this is our broad itinerary and this is what we'd like to do subject to weather conditions. So we've got a broad itinerary, for example, for our trip over Christmas and New Year in New Zealand. We know what we should be doing, what we will be doing will be based upon the weather conditions.
Funny you should mention that.
So the weather conditions, So
she sleeps 10, I understand?
10. We've got 5 cabins, all double cabins. 2.
Is that typical? Would you get a party of 10 on often, or is it?
We have had parties of 10 on board. It's normally if you've got families on board, then it's that's quite doable, really, because you've got 2 twin cabins aft, so that'll be like sort of 2 kids cabins for 4 kids, and then we've also got this is the master cabin, and then we've got 2 doubles as well.
Thank you very much, Mark. Much appreciated.
Thank you,
and it's fascinating insight into a vessel of this size.
Glad you enjoyed it.